Welcome, dear viewers, to Couch Warrior TV on YouTube. I'm the Couch Warrior, and you're watching The Passage, Skyrim SE Let's Play. Featuring Ettient Jorel, the Altmer Ranger, and his partner, Garm. And we can actually see Thalmor, the guy we just released. He's booking it out of here pretty quick. Look out. So in the last episode, we conducted a nighttime raid on Northwatch Keep. And during that raid, we discovered that Vantis was indeed being held at Northwatch Keep at one point, but he was no longer there. And according to the other prisoners, they saw him there. They know that he was hauled off by the Thalmor and that he was tortured. They confirmed that. But they never saw him returned to his cell. And this information seems pretty reliable because Thalmor definitely seemed like he was lucid. He was lucid, seemed like his word was trustworthy, right? Come on. And then we conducted a quick investigation of that cell. We found blood splashed around the inside of the cell, and interestingly enough, we found Vantis's, what we believe to be, Vantis's wedding band. We'll have to confirm that with Kerway. And well, the presence of the wedding band doesn't prove anything one way or another. It provides an interesting suggestion that Vantis was there. And the reason I say that is because everything that we've learned about Vantis so far through Kerway is that he's an honorable man, someone that she loves and respects. And it seems to me that in a situation where he knows that he's facing interrogation or torture or whatever, he might consider taking his wedding band off and leaving it in his cell or trying to hide it somewhere, as opposed to the possibility of allowing the Thalmor to confiscate it. It's also possible that if he knew he was being transported somewhere else, if he knew there was a chance of that happening, that perhaps he might leave it behind as a recognizable item and some kind of clue that he was there. Sort of a breadcrumb, if you will. We're talking about a man who's pretty smart. He's got a military record. We don't know in what capacity he served in the military, but he strikes us as a man who's very capable, and it might be possible that he would have the presence of mind in this circumstance to leave us some clues, knowing that Kerway was going to make every effort to try and find him. Who knows? Who knows? We just can't... We can't know anything for certain, but these are the clues that Etienne is putting together. Proper lock design on a storm cloak. Okay. Why not? Taking the hides and the venison. We're approaching the time period here when I think it may be time for Etienne to be looking at another barrage of smithing in the near future here. So, again, we'll certainly know more because, you know, after we've talked to Kerway, we'll be able to send the wedding band to her, this ring. We'll send it to Kerway and see if she recognizes it. If we send that to Kerway and she recognizes it, then we know we're on the right track. We know that this effort wasn't wasted. However, it still leaves us at yet another dead end. The other thing that you may have noticed, though, too, is that Etienne snapped up pretty much... Did you hear that? He snapped up every scrap of paper he could. He took the orders off of every Thalmor soldier in the keep, and we have not had any time at all to go over that yet. Okay, that troll is not a threat. Not yet. Let's get in these trees here. Okay, we've got a fort up here, which it's quite possible could be inhabited by Imperials. So, anyway, this has been a difficult period in this mission. It was difficult for us to get there, and the raid was pretty intense, but it went off extraordinarily well. It's a dragon about. You can't see it anywhere. Oh, shit. Quiet, girl. Those could be Stormcloaks, but they could also be Solitude Guards. And they're heading... Shh, quiet. They're heading the direction that we had our big confrontation. What are they doing? They seem to be on high alert. Let's get out of here. So it's been a difficult couple of days, but in the grand scheme of things, I think the mission that we're about to embark on could be the most difficult of all. And that is somehow finding a way to discreetly infiltrate Solitude, which is obviously ground zero for the Imperial Army, which is got a shoot-to-kill order on us. And it's not as if we're just sneaking in and sneaking out again. We have to get into some public places and talk to some people. So it's going to be quite challenging. Quite challenging. We've got some things that we could potentially make use of, but they're of... Oh, where is it? They're of limited usefulness, and that is the Imperial officer's uniform that we've stolen. That might get us in through the gates, but it's going to look... There's absolutely no way that Gulamai would talk to a guy in full Imperial armor. I mean, we would basically be shooting ourselves in the foot before we even got a start, because there's no way that he would trust us. So what Ettient is thinking about now is, yeah, we can get in, but then what? You know? What happens next? Oh man, that's disconcerting. Tell you what, these dragons add a level of tension to things. Oh man, there's another patrol coming of some kind. We can't get anywhere near the road. It's too risky. And we got to get away from this fort as well. Let's get up in here. Okay, so it's time to do a little reveal on a couple of things. And I've been kind of waiting to do this just to see what viewers will notice or not. But, so one of the things that I really wanted to do with this story is enhance the idea that as the Hound's notoriety increases, he you know, and his... Oh, is this just going to get us closer to the road? Come on. Oh, shit. Enough of that. Come on, Garm. Okay, are we done? Hey, hey. Grab a bone and let's go. Good girl. Alright, so we know where we're at now. This is still a lot closer to the road than I'd like to be. So I'm trying to, you know, kind of find ways to... Wolf Skull Cave right here. To enhance the gravity of things that are going on. So what I did is, and you may have picked up on this in episode 101, we had a big fight, obviously, with a Legion patrol. And if you're watching closely, the way that fight started had nothing to do with Ettient. They attacked us first. So, as you may have guessed, or may not, at some point, off camera, I had Ettient join the Stormcloaks. Now, there's a couple important caveats here. The first one is that this is a roleplay device, okay? And what I mean by that is Ettient, from the game mechanic perspective, has joined the Stormcloaks because I need, for our story, the story that we're trying to tell here, we need for the Legion soldiers to be hostile, but he is not a Stormcloak. He is not a Stormcloak, okay? And to me, that's a very important distinction, okay? So, you know, just keep that in mind as the story is going along. Ettient is being hunted because of who he is, not because of his association with the Stormcloaks, because he is not associated with the Stormcloaks. Now, what we understand of Ettient is that he sympathizes with the Stormcloaks on many levels, but there are aspects of Stormcloak ideology that he probably does not sympathize with. Ettient looks at the Stormcloaks and he says, you know what? Here's a group of people who are being victimized because of their religious beliefs. That we can understand, that we can stand against. But what he can't sympathize with is the idea that the only way that Skyrim can be fixed, if you will, in air quotes, the only way that it can be fixed is if the provincials and the other races other than Nord are driven out. I will qualify that also by saying people are individuals. People are not groups. So, well, I do not believe that all Stormcloaks adhere to that belief. That would be a very, very overly simplistic view to say Stormcloaks are bigots. No, they're not. Okay? There's a large group of Nords among the Stormcloaks who probably are bigots. But I would say there's probably an equal number of people who aren't. And mainly what they're concerned about is religious and political freedoms, which is completely understandable, right? So, I guess I'm saying two things here. Let's not oversimplify who the Stormcloaks are as an organization by just making a blanket statement that if you're a Stormcloak, you're a bigot, because that's not true. But let's also remember that Ettient himself is not a Stormcloak. He sympathizes with some of their problems. He sympathizes with some of their points of view, but does not count himself a member of that group in any way. Okay? So that's where we're at. Understand that. Yes, the Imperials are hostile towards him, but they're hostile towards him because he's a wanted man and because the Imperials are being pushed. They're being pushed very hard by the Thalmor to hunt down and apprehend or kill Ettient. And the main reason that the Thalmor want Ettient eliminated is because he knows too much about their operations. He's a liability because he has information in his head about their operations, things that they've been doing in the Reach and other places that could be incriminating and could hurt their political causes here in Skyrim. And that's a loose end that they don't want. So, a bit of clarification. So, chew on that a little bit. Think about it. Don't get yourself preoccupied with the Civil War questline, because I don't believe that the Civil War questline is a quest that is going to play heavily into Ettient's story. At least not now. So, the joining of the Stormcloaks is strictly a technical device in order to get the outcomes that we want in the story that we're trying to tell about this man and what he's doing. So, just a little note for you there, and I would encourage you to use this same technique. I mean, if you want to intensify your story, certainly do that. Join the Civil War, but do it sort of off camera, if you will, and don't include it in part of your story. Just go take the various steps you need to. Fast travel and do those steps, and then pretend they never happened and pick up right where you left off. And that has the overall effect of intensifying the story by, creating these situations where you come under direct attack by one group or the other. It certainly... Think about how intense this is now, right? Because when we look at that map, when we look at the Civil War map and we see the blue and we see the red, we are deep in red territory, Very, very deep in red territory right now. And any Imperial patrol that we come across that sees us is going to be hostile. And this is a part of the province that's going to be crawling with Imperial patrols. And then also remember that we're using Immersive Patrols mod as well, which increases the total number of patrols that we're going to encounter. So it has the effect of really intensifying the suspense around Etienne's forays into enemy territory, because now we're not just in enemy territory from a role-playing sense. We're in enemy territory from a game mechanic sense as well. And so it really intensifies the suspense, if you will. Okay, we're taking the long way around to Solitude. But this is okay. We're exploring a part of the map that we haven't been in before. We're doing it as stealthily as we possibly can. And any other route we might have taken would have had us going way too close to the main roads, way too close to the embassy, stuff like that. So it didn't make a lot of sense. So we're definitely taking the long way around, but Etienne is playing it safe at this point. So we're paralleling the road, staying up in the trees, out of sight. And what we're counting on is that we can get around and through these mountains and then take our sneaky way into Solitude and catch up on some rest once we've arrived there and we can get out of the cold. Deep in enemy territory like this, Etienne is constantly thinking about, yes, I need to be rested. Yes, I need to be, well fed and ready to go and stuff like that. But at what point is it safe to do something as foolish as light a campfire, right? It doesn't seem like a good idea under any circumstance at this point. Okay. All right, we're back to the shoreline. Sea of Ghosts on our left. So let's keep it that way. We know that if we follow the shoreline here, even if we're not on the road, eventually we're gonna come to where we need to be. So Etienne is kind of following that theory. We don't know a lot about the road on this side of the city. All we've seen is what's just over the archway from the East Empire Company, but what we do know of the road in that space is that the road runs very, very close to the shoreline. So there's going to come a point where we're going to be forced to get very close to the road, probably much closer than we actually want to be. All right, there's no other choice. We're going to go down in here. All right, Garm, we'll see you on the other side, girl. Okay, there's some kind of a pier. What is this? It's a cave. Oh, wait, look. We may be closer to Solitude than we thought. Yeah, look, this is the lighthouse. The lighthouse is going to be positioned somewhere near the opening of the harbor. Okay. Yep, there it is right there. There's Solitude. There's the outside walls of Solitude way up there. Okay. All right, let's get... Good girl. Get something to eat? Oh, here's a ship. All right, this is... We're getting into the danger zone here. So we've got some of our special abilities queued up that we might have to use in order to make absolutely sure we're not spotted. So let's do it. Okay, we're going to try and make as much distance as we can with the cover of our invisibility going for us here. So here's the spot that we were talking about before, right? Where the road gets so close to the shoreline that there's no cover at all. So what we want to do is get ourselves into position to let's get down here. Okay, pretty quiet. I think we did it. All right, we did it. All right, let's get on in here. Get on in here. We'll get some rest. Up the chain. All right, it's still cleaned out from the last time we were in here. Oh, hey, how you doing? She came right up on in there. All right, let's set up our camp. Turn that light on. Well, we did it. We made it. All right, at this point, we're going to get a little bit of sleep and some rest, and the next step is going to be to formulate our plan of attack for getting in and out of Solitude, figuring out what we need to do here. So I'm going to take a little break and get some more coffee. Okay, I am back. So I guess before we do anything else, time check. Man. Well, let's take a look and see what kind of shape we're in right now. Hunger, fatigue, thirst. Got it all going on. As much as I hate the idea of spending a bunch of time in here, it would be foolish to get involved in something without being completely prepared. So, we're going to have to wait it out here. To start with, let's get some sleep. I think what we're going to do is go with, say, 5 hours. All right. First thing we got to do is get into town and have a look around, and we got to do it on the sly. So let's see what we've got available to us here. Okay, we've got all this Ebony Mage stuff. That wouldn't help us necessarily look like a guard or anything like that. However, it would allow us to not look like Etienne. That would be a start. We've got this Imperial Knight set up. The only problem with this, well, there's multiple problems with this. It's potentially an interesting disguise, but not a great one. First of all, having an Imperial Knight traipsing around, everybody's going to be taking a second look, and then seeing an elven face inside the helmet isn't going to help us a whole lot. So, that's not a great solution either. And the Solitude Guard stuff is a decent solution. The only problem there, of course, is we don't have a helmet. I did not take the other helmets because they were not full-faced helmets. So at this point, I feel like probably the best thing that we can do is try out this Ebony Mage stuff. So in this case, we'll probably use a leather backpack. It's great that we have all of these options. Problem, of course, is that carrying all this stuff is going to have us encumbered. He definitely doesn't look like Etienne. I would think the... There we go. That's fun. Alright, now, the next thing we gotta do is we're gonna shed some weight. We'll just drop a bunch of stuff in the corner here. Okay. All right. Hey, girl. How do I look? Pretty impressive, huh? Sure. Okay. Now, you are going to stay here. Okay. I'm going to go into town, and we're going to have a little bit of a look around. However, probably would make more sense to come in the front door. All right, let's have a quick look here. Any adjustments we want to make? gonna go with the glass sword. Not really digging that curved sword so much. Alright, so we're gonna go in and do a little bit of sniffing around. The objective is we have to figure out where Gulamai is, figure out what it's going to take to deal with him. And then kind of, you know, from that point, determine what our next steps are going to be.
Wait, I know you.
There's no possible way you could know me. Shut up. Shut your face, guard. You too. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. So ideally, it would be great if we could figure out what was going on with Gulamai and then arrange a meeting with him after dark, that kind of thing.
The road makes this one weary.
Hey,
I welcome you, friend. How may I serve you? Take a look.
what you got? Okay. I'm pretty sure we've got some things that we can get rid of here. He doesn't have a ton of money, but that's okay, I think. The ebony bow can go. Saber. All right. Helmet. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is we used up 1 grand soul gem, so I'm going to buy another from him. And then we're going to start selling off some stuff here to make up for the difference. Okay, these glass helmets. Can sell one of those guys. Okay. I knew those helmets would come in handy. He's got ebony ingots. We've still got a lot left to sell, so let's take all of his ebony ingots as well. At least we're trading up all of this loot for stuff we actually need, which is a good thing. And offloading quite a bit of weight at the same time, so this works out to be a pretty good exchange, I think. Awesome.
May your road lead you to warm sands.
All right. We can only hope. Here it is. Marching into the heart of enemy territory once again. Hopefully our disguise will hold up long enough for us to get the information we need.
I've got a little work if you're interested, traveler.
All right. A little scary there for a minute. Let's duck in here.
Welcome. Let me know if you want anything.
This one's a
I got a
favorite
clean
of
mug
mine.
around here somewhere.
A legend we all know and love.
Could be our man right there.
Our hero claims a warrior's heart.
If you need a good rumor or two, I think I can oblige. Welcome to the Winking Skeever, friend.
All right. We are going to
Drink for the
buy a
thirsty.
drink.
Food for the hungry.
Alto wine. That's the favorite. All right.
Of course. I think the Bard's College might be looking for recruits. You should speak to the head of the college, Viarmo, if you're interested.
Not a bardly type, really.
I've heard Jari Ra's hanging around the Wells district, looking for new blood to hire.
What else?
People say there's a man wandering the streets near the Blue Palace. He seems distressed, but he's not making any sense.
All right.
Remember the Winking Skeever next time you're footsore.
See? Huh?
So, what do we have here? Let me guess. By your scent, I'd say you were from the guild. But that can't be true, because I told Mercer I wouldn't deal with them anymore.
Our hero claims a warrior's heart.
I'm here about Golden Glow Estate.
I don't deal in land or property. Now, if you're looking for goods, you've come to the right person.
Drop the act.
Oh, wait. Did you say Golden Glow Estate? My apologies. I'm sorry to say I know very little about that, bee farm, was it?
You acted as a broker for its new owner.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I can't be expected to remember every deal I handle.
Okay. Let's see. We can persuade, identify the buyer, and we'll forget what we know. Or we can bribe, or we can intimidate.
Loud customers mean good cheer. Good cheer.
I think intimidation is right out.
So I had to retire and leave you to run the
Not that
store.
Etienne couldn't do it, but this is... We're extremely vulnerable here. And persuasion is a bit threatening, so we'll try bribery, see what happens.
Don't be ridiculous, Minette.
Well, now that you mention it, there is something I've been trying to get my hands on. I have a buyer looking for a case of firebrand wine. There just so happens to be a single case in the Blue Palace. Bring it to me, and we'll talk about Golden Glow Estate.
Are you kidding me?
I tell you, the
All
dragonborn
right.
comes with a voice wielding power.
Reckon the black face mask would look better with this outfit, right? Sure.
Believe,
All right.
the dragonborn
Well,
comes.
so much for bribery. Bribery is going to have us marching right into the heart.
Wait, I know you.
Oh, shut up. It's going to have us marching right into the Blue Palace, which makes no sense.
Are you? Oh, what delight!
Just
Another
shut up and tell
charm.
me what you have for
Clothes and
sale.
raiment for the discerning customer.
Not looking for anything in particular, just looking. Hmm. 13% chance to reduce the cooldown of shouts. That's kind of cool. I think to some degree what Etienne is thinking about here is there anything that he could acquire here that might make a trip into the Blue Palace somewhat more plausible or safer? I mean, there are items in here that could conceivably be used for disguise, but, man, nothing that seems very practical. Pleated boots. I don't believe I've ever seen pleated boots before.
Finally.
To be honest, the best possible disguise would be a Solitude Guard uniform. Alright, we gotta figure out
If you're heading to the Blue
what
Palace,
to do here.
you might want to rethink that outfit.
That's exactly what I'm doing, woman. That guy right there has a piece of headgear that would be ideal. The absolute worst thing that we could do is call more attention to ourselves by murdering a guard just to take his helmet. Doesn't make any sense. So, the question is... I mean, I'm looking at the outfit he's got on now. It wouldn't be unusual. I mean, it's a pretty noble type of outfit. It's definitely, you know, someone of importance, someone with money, someone who could conceivably be seen in the Blue Palace. The problem is it also represents a person who is potentially a guest in the Blue Palace, which invites questions. Walking in and out as a guard doesn't invite any questions. And ultimately, that's what we want. Really, only a guard could walk in and out of the Blue Palace and not be in a situation where questions would be generated, right? So there's the rub. We've got enough of a uniform that all we really need is the addition of a helmet to conceal our face, and we'd be good to go. Somehow the idea of
Take a good look around.
murdering a Solitude guard who's just doing his job
If not, let me know. I might have it stored
just
away.
because we need a helmet doesn't make
Welcome.
any sense.
Look around. Trinkets, odds and ends, that sort of thing.
Okay. Ring of Remedy. Some good items. So what are the other alternatives? Well, the other alternatives would be to just dress in a fashion that conceals us completely and then walk in and get out as quickly as we can before anybody starts asking any questions. As if we're a guest. Of course, the problem with that is the items that we're looking for, we have no idea where they are. So, whatever disguise we use has to allow for some free movement.
Some might call this junk. Me, I call them treasures.
Okay. Back. Okay. Okay.
Come back to bits and pieces anytime.
Well, we've done what we can here. I think the next best option is we are going to go and see the blacksmith and determine if there is some kind of helmet we could make ourselves that might go reasonably well with the Solitude Guard's uniform that we have and conceal us more fully. So we'll look into that and not, you know, stick out like a sore thumb.
Wanderer like you must have plenty.
Hey, I need to use this. Thanks. Alright, so let's go to steel category and just have a look. Might be something we can make that would help.
Need something? I've got weapons forgiven and armor forgotten.
This Pathfinder stuff, it's actually a hood. It's not going to help us. Steel armor. Okay, the steel helmet, horned helmet, those are still open face kind of things. Steel plate helmet is going to look completely out of place with that uniform. Okay, so nothing doing there. Anything under Nordic? That helmet. That doesn't do us any good. Miscellaneous.
Arms and armor, forged by a master craftsman. Fresh fish, straight from the fjord.
Okay, from there, what about auxiliary? That could be okay. We've actually seen a number of
I've got weapons.
city guards wearing helmets in that style, and it does at least cover the majority of the face. So that actually could work. Edgenite stuff, no.
Arms and armor, forged by a master craftsman. Fresh fish, fresh fish.
Well, it's ugly as hell, but that could do as well. We need some steel ingots to do that. Here's the heavy version of that. We've seen guards wearing that. So the light version of it might be acceptable as well. Okay, we got a couple of different options now.
I've got weapons forgiven and armor forgotten.
Okay. So we'll take a quick look under Imperial. The Imperial helmets don't do much. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much
Arms and armor, forged by a master craftsman.
takes care of it. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to go up here. Well, this helmet is also an option. Steel, leather, and fur plate, but this takes more materials to create. So, the Nord Mail coif in the light spectacle helmet. So, 3 steel ingots and 1 piece of leather will get us that. That's what we're going to go with. Hey.
Seems there's no end to the... Take a look.
Sure. Hope you got what we need. Need some leather. One of those. Steel ingots. 3 of those. Okay.
Return anytime you need arms or armor. My forge never rests.
So we go back to auxiliary. Cruise back down here to Nord.
I've got weapons forgiven and armor forgotten.
Okay, done. All right, let's go do this. I'm particularly concerned about this because, you know, we gotta... The timing is working out such that we really have to do this during the day.
Arms and armor, forged by a master craftsman. Fresh fish, fresh fish.
Ta-da. Hang over here. Guard pass.
Caught daily.
Okay, this is too conspicuous. We can't make that work.
Fresh fish.
I've got a little work if you're interested, traveler.
But we can take this shortcut, get ourselves in there.
Keep the cold at bay with our spiced wine.
It's a lot of extra pain in the ass. But it's the sort of caution that we have to exercise. So... just having a quick scan around to make sure that we're not being followed or watched. Alright, so let's see what we've got. Got the guard's armor and the shield. So let's see about putting this all together. Solitude guard's armor and shield. Nord spectacle helmet. That. Okay. Then we can go with our standard steel gauntlets and boots, which I think works just fine with that. The vial holder is going to have to go. Backpack is probably going to have to go to make this all work. That looks pretty good. As far as weapons go, the Imperial Sword would be the choice. Not bad. The only thing kind of risky at this point is, you know, those red eyes. Not much we can do about that. Okay. So this'll do. Which way? Not that way. This way. So, while not perfect, this helmet at least covers the majority of his facial features, i.e., pointy ears. Those kinds of things. White hair, that stuff. So let's have at it. Fact is that the longer we hang out here, the more risk there is. So in the interest of trying to get things done as quickly as possible, he really wants to be able to conduct his night missions against Gulemai this evening. He doesn't want to wait, which means we have to get this bribery thing out of the way now. Because we could very well need a full night to accomplish what we need to with Gulemai, and there's too much risk associated with staying here another full day just to screw around with a disguise. We can't do that. So we've got to put together what we can, as best we can, as quickly as we can. And roll the dice a little bit here. Alright, so he says he wants this case of wine. That's interesting. Okay.
Oh, hello. Just tidying up.
Good enough. Last thing we want to do is go up there. Could be in or near the kitchen area. It would make sense that it would be near the area where the kitchen staff work and store things.
The Imperials are good for business, and business is good for Skyrim.
Jarls come and Jarls go, but a good cook stays for a lifetime. And I'm a very, very good cook.
Good to know. Well, it seems that our disguise is passing muster, so that's good. Firebrand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't seem like a full case. There should probably be 6 bottles in there. Hopefully this is good enough for him. Alright, we got what we need. Now we just need to slip out of here. Okay. Nice and easy. That spot right there, that'd be the perfect place for a mail office. Some place to send letters from. Huh. Alright, we've pushed our luck long enough. We've got what he needs. Now we're going to get the hell back down into our hideout, get some rest, get changed. Those guards coming. Stuck in here. It's probably a shift change. Okay, here comes another guard. Let's just keep pace. If we keep pace, we'll stay ahead of him. It's a little nerve-wracking, actually. Okay, he's stopped there. Okay, he's continued his route, so we should be able to scooch in here without being noticed. All right, let's move. Get the heck out of here. Okay, we can't rightly just traipse into the tavern and in guard uniform and deliver a case of stolen wine. So we're not going to do that. We're going to go back to our hideout. We're going to wait until nightfall. And then we're going to slink back into the city under cover of darkness, make the delivery, and do our negotiation with him when the rest of the city is sleeping. That is what makes the most sense. But we're going to save this fine little helmet as it completes our disguise, and who knows when we're going to need it again. Hey girl, how you doing? I'm back. Ugh. Let's get out of this crap. Alright, so I'm just gonna drop it here. Okay. And for tonight's operation, we're also going to shed some other unneeded weight. Okay. Yes, this doesn't have any weight to it, but from a role-playing perspective, yeah, it does. So, get rid of that. Shedding a whole bunch of trash. All right, for tonight's work, I'm going to go with this. And in addition, we can also get rid of this. Okay, I think we are all set. So, that puts us in a great position to get some rest. So let's do that. All right, it is about 5 o'clock now. We'll go with 6 hours. That'll get us some decent rest and have us really starting our mission. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with 5. We want to start our mission around 10 p.m. Make sure we have enough time. We don't know what's going to happen with Gulamai, so